You used my memes! Okay, but hear us out. It took you a while to make the review.
That doesn't mean anything. That's like taking a candy bar someone was saving for a special occasion.
You saved a Char and Joe Hendry meme for a special occasion?
That's beside the point. The point is, you used my memes.
Okay, so we messed up. It happens. If anything, it's not like we did anything else.
On that note, you got hit with a copyright, forcing this border.
Kind of hypocritical, don't you think?
Editors, banish this pony to Black Site Area 51 on the PC.
What? Is he?
In hell? No. Someone like him is not worthy for Sonic 06. Instead,
he must amend for his sins.
Is this just an excuse to use two characters?
So Area 51!
So back in 1996, Tiger Electronics released this little LCD game called Area 51. Kind of a neat little thing. Oh, and I guess it was based on 1995's hit game Area 51, but that's not important because look at this little LCD game, it's so cool! I need to get a copy and fuck that shit, I ain't got that money.
Maybe I can get an arcade cabinet.
So while my counterpart gets more motivation to shoot for the YouTube partnership program, maybe it's best we talk about that arcade game. So 1995's Area 51 was a light shooter game where you and a member of STARS... Oh sorry, I meant to say star with two A's, no S's, head to Area 51 to clear the place of aliens and zombies. Despite using older tech compared to Virtua Cop, the game was a hit. It received a home release, a sequel, which as far as we can tell is hard to find because we can only find one cabinet of that game, and a multi-cabinet game with its sister game, Maximum Force. The big takeaway from all this is that Area 51 made Atari a lot of money. Unfortunately, this was the turn of the millennium and arcades were starting to die.
Yeah, I'm not getting an arcade cabinet of this. Maybe one day, although I could just get the home release. Sorry. I don't have much to say about the arcade game. I highly recommend playing it if you can find it.
So in 2005, Midway released Area 51 for the PS2, Xbox, and PC. A GameCube port was considered but canned. At release, the game was decently well received and an interesting little later release for the generation.
However, where Area 51 gets really interesting was its connection to the Air Force.
See, because it was still the war on terror, the US military needed as many recruits as they could. The US Army had America's Army, the US Marines had Close Combat, First to Fight, and the US Navy had the Village People. We're not sure if the Coast Guard had a game. So naturally, the Air Force needed something. And while Stargate is a good property, it isn't exactly known for its games.
They had an online shooter that wasn't around for long and an MMO that never came out, and that's not including the movie tie-in games.
So the Air Force, probably not wanting to spend Ace Combat money, decided to give 3 games away. That included The Suffering, Rise and Fall Civilizations, and of course, Area 51. Fun little tidbit, I have encountered these 3 games in different ways. I had The Suffering on GOG before it got removed, I had a physical copy of Rise and Fall that I had no idea how to make work, and now Area 51.
Finally, I have them all.
I do kind of wonder who signed off on this, and what went through their minds, especially with Rise and Fall. At least Area 51 had some connection with the Air Force.
And The Suffering?
Of things to come.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Outside of the Air Force connection, the game is well known for its voice cast. We'll get more into them later, but right now the big name you need to know of is David Duchovny of X-Files fame. For those who don't know, the X-Files is a franchise known for its paranormal and conspiracy theory stories. It's well regarded and actually helped shape early pop and internet culture. We don't plan on looking at this, just thought it worth noting.
And with that, I think it's time we look at the game, starting with the story. Time code, let's begin.
So our story begins in, actually 1949. A crashed spaceship is found by the US military housing aliens. We acknowledge that revealing this info early on is kinda spoilery, but in our defense the game reveals this pretty early on. Anyway, at some point prior to 2003, the Akatsuki attempted to raid Area 51. Despite Itachi being present, the Akatsuki quickly learned that the Sharingan ain't got shit on 556.
Why else do you think Itachi's arm is like that?
Regardless, something does happen at Area 51, forcing the US military to send in Hazmat Team Delta. Goes about as well as you can expect, so the military calls in the next option, the HECU.
Unfortunately, the HECU was unavailable due to Black Mesa.
And because the Asgard weren't involved, SG-1 wasn't bothered. So instead, Hazmat Team Bravo was called in. Who are these guys?
Well, Ethan Cole is the main character, but who are the others?
So, according to the Wikipedia, the other guys are named McCann, Crispy, and Ramirez.
From Modern Warfare 2?
No, it's another one.
Oh.
So Bravo team suits up. Cole receives his scanner and goes with the rest of the team to report to Major Bridges. However, before the team can enter Area 51, they need to first deal with an infiltrator. Turns out someone else other than the Akatsuki is interested in this place. Splitting into two teams, Cole and McCann begin their search, quickly finding and dispatching the infiltrator. Yep, there's more going on than you think. With a transport truck saved, Bravo team is sent into the bowels of Area 51 to deal with a virus, and it's a mess.
The government had no choice but to respond with extreme measures.
So Bravo deploys into Area 51 and is immediately forced into a gunfight with mutants. It's clear that the virus has overtaken much of the facility. At the very least, the Area 51 arcade cabinet is safe.
Unfortunately, it's not the maximum force double cabinet.
And you can't play it.
Disappointed!
But despite this setback, Bravo team pushes forward. McCann is the first to die. Wow, that was fast.
It gets worse.
Bravo team continues deeper into the facility, but this proves to be a fool's errand. Crispy and Ramirez get separated from Cole and subsequently eliminated by something. Cole, for his part, is forced to fight Crispy as his former teammate mutates. With no other option, Cole is forced to find Delta Team, which he does really fast. This is very abridged.
Yeah, the game speeds up a lot of stuff.
The remnants of the two teams put up a good defense, but soon counter this thing. What is it?
It's Bigger Jaws!
Way Big Jaws utterly thrashes the group, with Cole and, sure, why not, being the only survivors. As Cole and Chu lick their wounds, another faction starts to make itself known. Not wanting to get involved with this, and because the two teams just got destroyed, Cole and Chu make their way topside.
Come on, we still have 2 hours.
Somehow surviving, Cole is attacked by mutants and becomes infected. Somehow, Cole is able to control the mutation as a mysterious force controls Chu's body. It indicates it has a way to cure Cole, but it's also evident that whoever this being is, it really doesn't give two shits about humanity. With no other option, Cole follows the voice and is introduced to Dr. Cray via videophone. Dr. Cray is intrigued by Cole, as something about the soldiers allowing him to control the virus. Regardless, Dr. Cray tells Cole to get to his lab if he wants to live.
It quickly becomes evident that multiple groups are at play here between Dr. Cray, the mysterious voice, and the unknown soldiers.
All three of these groups are connected in some way to the virus, and not in a subtle way. Rather quickly, it's revealed that the third group is the Illuminati. They're here to cover up their tracks, initially by destroying Area 51, though it quickly becomes apparent they want Dr. Cray dead. Through video calls, Dr. Cray is able to direct Cole to his lab. While being decontaminated, Cole learns of the Illuminati leader, we think, Mr. White. We don't have much on Mr. White, but remember him. Dr. Cray dies before Cole can be decontaminated. The voice is intrigued by Cole, though continues using Cole as a pawn in its own plans. Cole continues his fight through Area 51, and we learn that Mr. White is a bunch of clones. What next? We learn that there are sharks with laser beams? Fucking hell is going on here?
This room cost $1 million.
So Cole fights deeper and deeper into Area 51, seeing more and more alien stuff as he fights. Eventually he defeats Big Jaws, which is called the Theta. Miles beneath Area 51, Cole comes face to face with the Greys.
You're not even trying anymore, are you?
So the conspiracy is revealed. Area 51 has aliens who are dissecting humans and creating these bioweapons. Cole, repeat after me, fights his way through the base, before eventually learning of the identity of the mysterious voice. Meet Edgar. Edgar was the alien that crash-landed back in 1949. It was from experimenting on him that the Illuminati got the virus. As you can tell, Edgar is really not happy being kept in the pony jar. You realize that joke only works with the pony. But despite this, Edgar decides that Cole is worthy to be kept alive, so he gives the humans some of his blood so the virus in Cole can be cured, or at the very least control the virus without Cole losing his humanity. Edgar dies.
But know my blood binds you to me forever.
Yeah, there's no subversion here.
Doing his best to save his planet, and Edgar's, Cole stops the mothership from transporting more Thetas. With barely enough time, Cole uses a portal to escape Area 51. Stuck in the Nevada desert, Cole watches as Area 51 is destroyed. A truck passes by, showing some of the pods that carry the Theta. Cole admits that he has failed in his mission, but on the other hand, he and his team did save mankind. Cole then walks into the desert, uncertain of his future.
Wait! Where are you going?
So if you've been collecting the secrets located throughout the game,
And I better hope you have.
you unlock some video logs from both Dr. Cray and Mr. White that give some further context to everything, in addition to the secrets themselves. So let's get this over with. Aliens have been interacting with the planet for some time, though to what extent seems to vary. We cut to World War II and one Mr. White and Dr. Cray. Both are scientists who have some connection with the Manhattan Project. Mr. White wants to pursue bioweapons, but due to moral reasons is restrained. At some point his wife dies and Mr. White either joins or forms the Illuminati. The game is kind of vague on this. In 1949, Roswell happens and an alien is found. Edgar is experimented in, all that. Dr. Cray is brought on at some point for his expertise. Expertise in what?
He's a scientist.
Fair enough. Eventually, the Grey Aliens get in contact with the Illuminati, and a pact is formed. In exchange for a research facility and test subjects, the Grey trade technology with the Illuminati. The pact is surprisingly beneficial for both sides. Dr. Cray, meanwhile, cracks the genetic code of the aliens and moves forward with making a bioweapon. He frankly has no moral problem with any of this. What he does have a problem with is getting no recognition for his research. Angry and on death's door, Dr. Cray decides to unleash the Theta and spread the virus in the hopes that the US military will get involved and ruin the Illuminati's plan. And Edgar, as we've established, is not happy being kept in the pony jar. So yeah, everyone in this story is kind of a bad guy. I mean, Cole, Bridges, and the Hazmat teams are the good guys, but that's about it.
Pretty much, but that's to be expected with conspiracy theory kind of stories. But let's pull back from the conspiracy theory for a bit.
How come?
We need to look at the story in two parts. What we have is a game story and the secret stuff.
So right from the get-go, Area 51 has a short story that has a fast pacing. Now length is not a problem. I've played short stories before. This isn't an issue. Unless you paid $60 for this new, then yeah.
Hey, don't jump the script.
No, in situations like this, the pacing really has to help things, and unfortunately it doesn't here. Key point, your squad.
The game, through supplemental material, kind of implies that Bravo Team has some close connection, but they never feel that, especially since Bravo Team just dies. Or Delta Team, who comes off as this faraway objective, only to be found in the room right next door.
It sounds like the game wanted to get rid of any teammates real fast.
Yeah, in fact, let me tell you something Alex, my thumbnail artist, told me. He told me how he got invested with his squad mates, how he did not like leaving them. Now, granted, they were invincible guys killing zombies, but there was a connection. I'm not saying we need to go all Republic Commando, but maybe have Cole and Bravo Team stick together for some time and explore Area 51 together.
Perhaps show the team slowly die off as they reach Delta Team, and how Delta Team has found some freaky shit on this site. How when Cole gets infected, Chu recognizes that Cole can control the infection for the time being. That 2 soldiers are better than 1, allowing Cole to not bite the bullet. That after going through all of Area 51 with the Illuminati and aliens, Chu recognizes he's infected and losing control, and that Cole is the one who has to survive this. A story of heroes going way over their head into a conspiracy they don't know, assumed by all to be pawns in a greater game until it becomes evident too late by all that they are agents of chaos ready to unravel this great game of conspiracy.
Life, finds a way.
But instead, it's very shallow. You see some potential here, but it doesn't meet expectations. Much like the X-Files, the truth is out there.
This leads us to the next part of the story, the secret video logs. Much of the interesting parts of the story are hidden in these secrets and logs. These things really flesh out the story. The secrets, for instance, give you the background and history towards what's been going on at Area 51. These can range from just the day-to-day happenings of the base, secret intel documents, to comments on what's going on as they happen. And these aren't all in order. The information you receive is scattered along different levels. One second you're reading about a memo of the name of Area 51, the next over the financial secrets of the Illuminati, and another over how the aliens are bewildered by their human counterparts. These secrets then unlock the video logs, with Mr. White waxing over the power the Illuminati have, though you do get the feeling he's getting high off of his supply. With Dr. Cray talking about his work at Area 51, I like how this motivates me to go out and collect these secrets, almost like I'm uncovering some ancient conspiracy as I gun down the Illuminati. In a way, it reminds me of alternate reality games, or ARGs, only without the ARG part.
because I would much rather collect in-game secrets than use a spectrogram analysis on a Marilyn Manson song to get the coordinates to a strip club where I then have to scalp a stripper for the QR code tattooed on her scalp for the picture of a bridge in Florida that houses a treasure chest with a gold coin that I then have to give to a bowling alley attendant who will give me a live cage deathmatch with John Wick so I can get a copy of Digimon World 3 for the PS1.
The hell kind of I Love Bees ARG is this? What did you do?
I don't know!
So on that level, I do love this style of storytelling. I just wish the surface level story held more of my interest.
As is, the story is kind of meh. If you want to get the most out of it, you need to search for the secrets. Don't worry, we Illuminati members know this and frankly don't care.
I am going to lose my house.
But with the story out of the way, it's best we start talking of the gameplay. Area 51 is a first-person shooter, but one that definitely feels like it's in that odd in-between of the 6th and 7th console generations. What we mean by that is that the game takes some cues from previous first-person shooters, but also has the feel of later games. For instance, you carry all your weapons on you during the campaign, much like a boomer shooter or Unreal Tournament, but many of your weapons also have a pseudo aim-down sights mode like later titles, but some weapons also have an alternate fire like those older titles, but then your melee and grenade attacks are mapped to a button like newer titles, but you lack any sprinting, instead having a toggle between walking and running.
Like I said, this game on a macro level feels like an in-between the old and new, so let's refine this a bit more.
The big thing I'll say with gameplay will have to be the weapons. There is a total of 11 weapons scattered between the firearms, grenades, and special abilities. The first is the scanner. It's a scanner. You use it to scan secrets.
I kinda wish this Pip-Boy had more use in game, like to hack things or maybe gain info on enemies to indicate weaknesses. As is, it's kinda worthless.
Next up is the pistol. It's actually a decent weapon, putting down most enemies. It has decent range and accuracy. The only problem is the magazine. 8 shots is usually what you need to defeat most targets, but most enemies come in waves. I liked using it, but it was more of a novelty. You kind of forget about it rather quickly. Next is the SMG or assault rifle. It's a workhorse and I hated using it. Okay, I'm being a bit harsh on the weapon, but it does have some major issues. For starters, the accuracy on this thing is bad. The second you open fire, the muzzle flash obscures most of the screen, and the reticle can barely stay in one area. You can aim down sights, and I think it improves accuracy, but not enough to really use it. Part of the problem, I think, is the enemy hit reaction and damage. Enemies seem to eat up so many bullets from this thing that it makes me wonder just how much damage it does. Not helping matters is they barely react to being shot. So here I'm going all Rambo and barely putting the hordes down. Now the weapon can be held akimbo, but at this point it's a close range weapon.
And I won't lie, it's fun to go full auto with dual SMGs like Teal'c. It's just that the pistol feels like it can do more damage at times.
Further not helping matters is the shotgun that absolutely fucks raw. This was a blast to use. Yeah, it doesn't have great range, who cares, it's a shotgun, it's close quarters. Most enemies go down with 1 to 2 shots, and if they're too tough, you have an alt fire to fire double shot to put down the strongest Xenos down. And this thing can be held akimbo. 1 trigger pull and you fire 2 to really fuck shit up. And baby, it has that alt fire to tell those alien motherfuckers, boom! Yeah, sorry, originally we were going to play Here Comes the Boom by Nelly. Unfortunately, due to copyright, we're unable to. So, yeah. Sorry about that. The problem is that there is no enemy worth doing this to. Outside of bosses, it's almost overkill. The shotgun wants to fuck, but there is no one to fuck. Next up is the sniper rifle. It's a sniper rifle. Headshots kill most enemies. I'm glad it's semi-auto and not bolt action. It's useful in the later parts of the game, especially since the assault rifle is mediocre. The alien blaster on paper seems like a good idea. It's an energy weapon with a rechargeable ammo pool that can kill most enemies with 1 or 2 shots at range. The reality though?
The thing with the alien blaster is it's like firing a plasma grenade in Halo. It sticks to a target. Problem is that this doesn't kill a target until it explodes. Its rate of fire is also kinda slow. Not helping matters is the alt fire, which gives you a laser sight and allows shots to bounce on walls. I never really use it all that much.
It does kind of replace the assault rifle, if only due to range and ammo. In close quarters, the assault rifle was better. Really wish this thing worked more like the plasma gun in Doom. Then you have the Mason cannon, the BFG. In theory, this thing can destroy most enemies via the initial hit and the energy tentacles. In actual practice...
You get this weapon so late in the game and with so little ammo, it barely factored all that much. It's a horde weapon, but by this late in the game, the hordes kinda die down. I'm also not happy in the room that you get this weapon, in that the enemies that spawn with you are Well, they have an advantage over this weapon.
Grenade-wise, you have alien grenades and fragmentation grenades. Alien grenades slightly home in on a target and then implode. Frag grenades are thrown and then explode. We barely used them. They were kind of not worth using outside of some rare situations. We do have a major complaint with this weapon. Game, you mind telling me how to change which grenade I'm using?
That's the neat thing. You don't.
To be fair, the two grenades are so similar, it's not like it matters. And then you have the mutant powers. Halfway through the game, Cole becomes infected and gets the ability to become a mutant. While in this form, time slightly slows down. His melee attacks get stronger, and he can throw out parasites to regain health, even unleash the virus to turn enemies insane. This mode is limited to his mutagen levels, but thankfully this can be topped off through melee attacks, certain corpses, and vials.
And it's kind of eh. The slow time barely amounted to much, I never really had much reason to go into melee, and the unleash virus attack used up so much mutagen it was kind of pointless for what it did. The parasite ability was useful, especially since it homed in on enemies, but not enough to really warrant it keeping the mutagen amounts full unless I was really low on health. I should point out that the mutagen did resupply to a small bit, but these abilities felt too much like a gimmick.
The problem with these weapons comes down to balance. Things like the pistol, sniper rifle, parasites, and shotgun either feel right at home or too powerful, while weapons like the assault rifle, plasma gun, and mason cannon feel underwhelming. The problem is twofold. Either the weapons are too nerfed to be of any actual use, or there's no enemies worth using the weapons on. The enemies in this game are something of note because there really are something of an issue. Most of the enemies you encounter go down real fast. Their AI is also pretty basic, usually just running up to you. The game kinda tries to make a challenge by putting large amount of wave attacks where you kinda have to survive for as long as possible. It gets old real fast. Even enemies like the spiders or the amoeba that are annoying are kind of meh. But then you get things like the turrets and greys and the difficulty just spikes. For instance, I had no idea you can destroy the Gatling turrets. They have so much health, I just hoped I could ignore the shots by running past them. The gray aliens are even worse since they can tank even the BFG shots. I can understand the bosses being spongy, but not these guys.
Really, the game needed a mid-ground enemy, something with a good bit of health to be a challenge, but not enough that it eats ammo. And unfortunately, the game doesn't have this.
Level design wise, it's alright. The levels are short and small. This is a very linear experience to the point I wondered if there was a plan to make an arcade version of this game at some point. Another thing I'll comment is how inconsistent the levels can be at times. This game feels like a compilation mod where a bunch of artists made a bunch of different stages. Some levels feel more cinematic, others more wave defense, and others more straightforward. It's weird. On the other hand, I at least appreciate that the game avoids mazes and backtracking. They are there, just not that much. Same I can't say about the wave defense sections. As for ammo and health, you get a decent amount. The late game does get hard, but it is the end game.
One other tidbit about the level design is the secrets. You can find most of these well enough. It certainly helps having this little sensor here giving you an idea of how close you are to a secret. However, some secrets are a bit out of the way. It's not much, but I did need a guide for like 2 of them. Part of the reason for this is that the game does a bad job of pointing out ladders or wreckage you can leap. You're not going to be lost, but it can be frustrating, especially when you're looking for these secrets.
You also have checkpoints. They're nice to have even with how short these stages are. Control-wise, the gameplay is alright. My main complaint is how floaty the controls can be, but you adapt fast. Not happy there's no toggle for the grenades or for the akimbo mode. I mean, sure, it's nice to go Officer Tequila on the aliens, but sometimes I may have a reason to not go all guns akimbo. As for art direction, it's fine. Kinda scary at some moments, but for the most part, things start to lean more towards something out of Unreal Tournament. I do like some of the conspiracy stages like the lunar landing level, but this is an outlier. The levels needed something to make this feel less like a sterile lab and more like Area 51. The alien levels are at the very least unique.
One complaint I do have with the visuals is the FOV, especially with the assault rifle. Most of the weapons were okay and didn't cause me too much trouble, but this thing took up so much screen in addition to blinding me and really made me wonder if I had things set properly. I don't know, I got used to it, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
One thing I do need to address now is the graphics. See, the screenshots and footage I have seen makes this game look pretty good, like something out of Unreal Tournament or something. For a game from 2005, it looks pretty decent. Then I played it and, well...
Why doesn't mine look like that?
The best I could figure is that there's some conflict with my system. For a while, I thought it was because I turned high-quality textures off, but no, they are on.
To be fair, I did play this game on another computer, one closer to the original release of this game, and that did look better. This is something you'll have to have in mind when playing older games on newer hardware. Not going to hold this against the game, but it is something to consider when getting it to run on your war rig.
Another complaint I have is the voice acting. You have some quality voice actors here. Shame they die off real fast or barely used. I mean, you have Powers Booth as Major Bridges, Nolan North as McCain. Very good actors, but barely used. Ian Abercrombie is here as Dr. Cray, and it works, but it's a bit too little too late. I guess David Duchovny as Cole is okay, but I think they could have done better. X-Files is good, but this isn't X-Files.
That being said, I will give credit to Marilyn Manson. This was a perfect casting. He really had that feeling of a being who did not care about humanity and looked down on us all.
My time is precious. You must find Dr. Cray. Only he can prevent your descent into madness. Dr. Cray was never a perfect specimen, flawed at best. The human elite will have their weapon. You must find me and continue what is to be undone. Are you worth my time, Ethan Cole? You must now play your part. Go now. Leave this hell and save your world.
What surprises me is that there's no Marilyn Manson song attached to this game. I half expected Sweet Dreams to be here, especially since Mr. White likes to call Area 51 Dreamland and that he's the creator of dreams. But as is, there's nothing. That being said, I am motivated to make an AMV using this game.
Speaking of music, there isn't really much here. It's subtle and that's about all I can really say. Sound effects are generic and do their job. There really isn't much here to say in the sound department.
Except again, I need to make another amendment. During the writing of this review, it was brought to my attention of the music. A song was played to me and it was pretty good, but I didn't recognize it in-game. Turns out, Area 51 has some very good atmospheric music. The issue is that it gets drowned out by the gunfire. So yeah, the sound mixing is not that good. That being said, I don't know if that this was developer intent, hardware issues on my end, or something else. It was hard to hear this music, which is a shame because, again, this is some very good atmospheric music. I highly recommend listening to some of these tracks. Here, listen to a bit of track 18 that my artist showed me.
As for extras, well, there is the secrets as I have stated earlier, but outside of that there isn't too much. You do have multiplayer, which thanks to OpenSpy is active again on PC and PS2 with tunneling required for the Xbox.
I didn't really play any online. Not because it's difficult, just that you kinda have to organize it. Finding players for this game is kind of an issue. It's an over 20-year-old game. That being said, the official Discord does seem to organize events, so there is that. One tidbit I will say is what Alex said about online. Apparently one of the self-imposed rules was to not use the Mason cannon. It was just agreed on because of how powerful it was. If anything, that kind of shows just how tight-knit this community was back in the day. And perhaps still is.
But with all that being said, what is your opinion on this game? Final thoughts and all.
Well, I enjoyed this game. Playing it reminded me a bit of games like Fear, Republic Commando, and Opposing Forces. Now, it doesn't have the team play of Republic Commando, the fears of Fear, or being Opposing Forces. But it does at least try to stand on its own, and I have to commend that. It's not perfect, and there is some issues here and there, mostly pertaining to the story and gun balance. There's also the fact that the game is short, but that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. The game seems to know what it wants to be, a shooter set in Area 51. It's not the flashiest or the most technical. It does what it does, and that's all it needs to do. I like that I was motivated to get the secrets. It's a nice little time capsule of conspiracies circa 2005. Now here's the thing, if I got this game back in 2005 and paid $60 for it, I would have felt that this was a bad proposition.
Yeah, it's kinda lacking.
But if I got a hold of this game back when the Air Force gave it out, I would have been more receptive. Which gives you my opinion on getting this game nowadays. Used copies are getting pricier, and unless you're a big fan of this game, I don't recommend it at those prices. But then you remember the Air Force, so you might be asking, is this game free? To which I have to say,
Maybe.
So here's where things get funky. The game, as far as we can tell, is in this weird limbo of it's free, but it's also not free. The download that the Air Force uses is no longer valid, but it's not that hard to find a release on the other systems, even PC.
Bear in mind that regardless of which version you get, you will have to update and configure the game to work on modern hardware, especially since the physical releases use DRM. We will link a guide we used to get this game working. If you have further questions, we recommend going to the Discord. A link can be found on the itch.io page.
The community for this game is very much active and willing to help others play this game.
With that in mind, the fact that the community is keeping this game going is enough for me to recommend finding and playing this game. Like End War, add it to the beer and pretzels game night you and the boys have. If this game ever gets an official re-release on Steam or GOG, I will look to get it. I just hope that day comes. But like many things, the truth is out there. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review.